Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.
Teddy Covers, welcome to Wager Talk Today, brother. Everybody else, welcome as well. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I didn't, betting-wise, but I don't judge my life by that. Teddy, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, so you say you hope they had a wonderful weekend. No one wants to care. No one cares if they had a wonderful weekend. The only thing they care about is they have a winning weekend. And I, too, I mean, I can't say I shat the bed this weekend. I won my big play yesterday on the Bills, which was a sweat and a half. But it certainly wasn't one of my better weekends overall. Capped by the Saints last night wasn't pretty, unfortunately. That said, Prez, we're still smiling. It's Monday morning. We have Monday Night Football tonight. There's no it wasn't a disaster. I don't know. Yours was a disaster. I hope it wasn't. And, well, it's a whole new day and a whole new
Saturday was a disaster. 0-3 on Saturday. Yesterday, 2-3. Lost my 5% on the under in Tennessee. Boys, big show today. Marco D'Angelo up first, just a minute away. We're going to talk Monday Night Football. Him and Teddy will take apart the game. Then, of course, Teddy's bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. And then Teddy and I are going to do a deep dive into what we learned from NFL Week 3. And, of course, last but not least, Ralph Michaels, Trends and Angles. Make sure to stay tuned for that. But now, another man who won his 5% play yesterday, the co-founder of WagerTalk.com, Marco D'Angelo. Welcome to the best daily sports gambling show anywhere.
All right, I'll give you that one, the best daily show. I'd venture to say there's a weekly show that I would plug too, but yeah.
Go ahead and plug it.
Well, bet on it. You guys know every Wednesday night we release it. We cover the NFL show games for the weekend, and we have a special edition Monday show, which we do later today. That'll be at 11 o'clock Pacific time. You can check that out. And guys, we nailed it on the show this week. Bet on it, 5-1. And I needed the Saints for both my premium clients and the show for a nice day. But the Saints, I just love these coaches that got to, it ain't broke, don't fix it. They got to keep doing these wildcat trick plays. And, that just backfired on the Saints yesterday for sure.
Yeah, and before we get into Monday Night Football, I mean, I just want to speak to that. Look, I get it. They brought in Taysom Hill. He fumbled the ball. It was very close to a butt fumble at that. It wasn't, but it was interesting. And I understand saying, okay, that was the turning point of the game. But, I watched every single play in that game, and I just felt like Aaron Rodgers had that offense completely under control. He was in total sync. And I looked at what Drew Brees was doing, and I mean, even his check down passes, which was 80% of his passes, even they were floating. It just didn't feel like a New Orleans win was coming, regardless of that fumble. Teddy?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. At no point during that game was I confident. Even at 27-all, and the Saints had the ball and had momentum prior to the Hill fumble, it was the kind of game that I'm hoping you can get out of with a push. New Orleans did not feel like the right side, and they weren't the right side. And let's give Green Bay credit. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I had issues with New Orleans defensively for the second straight week, and also, if Kamara doesn't make that big play that he did all by himself, I mean, this game would have been a blowout. It would have been Green Bay would have killed them, I think.
Yeah. I don't know why teams.
Go ahead, Marco.
Sorry, Perez. I don't know why teams abandon the run so early on Green Bay. Well, they fall behind most teams in panic. You can run on the Green Bay Packers. But the problem is if you do that, you got to close the deal. You can't settle for field goals because you give Aaron Rodgers, even if you take time of possession away from him, he's still going to get his points. You got to get the ball in the end zone. And, and they did it. Give Green Bay credit. They went on the road, granted no fans. It's a different story, but still they're 3-0. And, we keep lining up saying the metrics say Green Bay's not as good as the numbers, but they're an anomaly right now. They were all last football season. And so far again, this season, at some point we just have to adjust and say, you know what, maybe they are. I remember a couple of years ago, Teddy, remember every Sunday, the Sharps were pounding the Cleveland Browns, week after week, they're playing the Cleveland Browns because the metrics said they were better than their record. But what they end up doing, it was just one of those seasons where just chalk it off. They continued to lose, and the Sharps kept losing their money.
Yeah.
And I was one of them.
Guys, let's get into Monday Night Football. And look, I'm going to give you just sort of a quick take as I set this up, and then we'll go back and forth between the two of you guys. Obviously, Baltimore has circled this play. They really want to put their foot down and say, we are the team moving forward for this year. Grab home field advantage potentially. Look at this game is, you got two extremely talented teams. Kansas City has a better quarterback, better wide receiving core, better running game, better tight ends. Baltimore has a better defense. Two unbelievably talented teams, but only one of them is nasty, and that's Baltimore. This should be a fun game. Marco D'Angelo, let's start with you. We've had a line move on the total this morning, 55 at some places, 54.5. The line has stayed at around -3.5, but there are a couple of -3s. Bookmaker Bet Online, they got -3 to the juice. Marco, how do you see this game playing out?
Well, you touched on it that this is a big game for Baltimore. It's a statement game. This is the rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year. Oh, wait, that didn't happen because Baltimore screwed things up and lost in the opening round. So, yeah, they do have something to prove here that they were the best team last year and they should have been in the Super Bowl. But we talk about catching a break. It's Monday Night Football. How loud would that stadium have been for Monday Night Football in Kansas City coming to town, the defending Super Bowl champs, with fans? So Kansas City catches a break in that regard. There will be no fans, but Baltimore is breaking out a secret weapon tonight. They're breaking out the black jerseys. And guys, when Baltimore's wore the black jerseys, we give you information you can't get anywhere, guys. We dig deep. They're 23-8 all time, straight up with the jerseys, the black jerseys. They wore them twice last year, both wins. They wore them when they played New England, a 37-20 win, and they wore them against the 49ers, a 20-17 win. The
Marco,
Chiefs last week. Yeah.
Marco, just to add to that really quick, because it's such a great point about the jerseys. Guys, Baltimore are also 2-0 this year wearing shoelaces. So make sure to check that they have shoelaces on before you make the bet. Sorry, Marco, go on. I wanted to add to your nonsense.
Well, it sounds funny, but my Pittsburgh Steelers break out once in a while. I think they finally retired them, and I hope they
chain
do.
Gang.
The bumblebee jerseys, when they would break those out, that was as a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, I was embarrassed to see those jerseys. Okay, I did not like them at all. But going back to this game, guys, last week, Kansas City. Anybody that watched last week's games is going to want to bet Baltimore in this one. They're going to look at Kansas City and say this was a team that was life and death against the Chargers last week. And let's be realistic. You want to talk about I'm a situational guy and you talk about sandwich situations. That was, even though it was a division game, it was the mother of all sandwich games. They opened their Super Bowl defending season on Thursday Night Football against the Texans. Big game. High-scoring game. Mahomes was magnificent, as he always is. Then they got to go on the road to play the Chargers, a team that was life and death and really should have lost to Cincinnati and a rookie quarterback in the first week in Joe Burrow. And then they had this game on deck. They looked like a flat team, and they were. but they found a way to win it. And that's what good teams do. They find a way to win when they're not playing their best. And you look at Baltimore coming in here, they've been magnificent. But guys, they are on the turnover ratio 5-1 on the plus side already after 2 weeks. And too often, one of the keys to Baltimore's success is they always get out to quick starts, and teams abandon and panic their game plan. Kansas City never will do that. This is a team, doesn't matter what the score is, they're never going to panic. We saw what they did in the playoffs last year, falling behind in 2 games, and then we saw what they did last week, coming from behind to get the victory. I'm on Kansas City plus the points here. I'll be honest with you, and I said it to you guys before we got on air. I was hoping the Saints took care of business last night, so we had one of those public dogs go down on the 2 primetime games. But are we going to ask for Kansas City to be the sweep with the underdogs on primetime football? Remember, Thursday night, Miami got the money, and the Packers got it last night. But I'm still on Kansas City. Not as strong. I have not released it as a premium play today, but I do like the Kansas City side.
So I'm going to come in, and being that I have the advantage of talking last, so I get to hear everything you guys said, I'm going to nitpick.
Go ahead.
Let's start with nitpicking Prez.
Prez. Kansas City doesn't have the best wide receivers. Kansas City doesn't have the best quarterback.
No, running back.
Prez. You're so anal, Prez. Okay, just go ahead.
Yeah, you can't say that the Chiefs have the better running backs. You can't. There's no way that anyone that knows football can possibly say that. The Chiefs have a rookie running back, and the Ravens have a 3-headed monster at RB that can do just about anything: pass, catch, run, fresh bodies in the fourth quarter, et cetera, et cetera. So you can make a case for the wide receivers. You can make a case for the quarterback. You cannot make a case for the running back. So there's my nitpick against Prez. My nitpick against Marco is more fun. Yeah, just a nitpick.
I want more. Give me more.
I got plenty more to say about this game, but let me nitpick against Marco. All right. Marco says the good teams find a way to win. I don't disagree with that. The only reason the Chiefs won last week is because Anthony Lynn punted on 4th and 1 in overtime, which was unconscionable. That's the only way Kansas City won, because the opposing coach made a mistake. That wasn't a good team finding a way to win. That was the other team punting when they couldn't possibly punt. And 3 amazing field goal attempts at the end of the game for
3 of them.
KC. Yeah, he had all 3 of them. It was as good a show of kicking as you'll ever see. To hit all 3 of those. But it wasn't that Kansas City. They found a way to win. The Chargers found a way to lose that game. When we talk about Patrick, I've seen a lot today about Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. Patrick Mahomes has never lost ATS in his NFL career as an underdog. So, of course, you know me, I got to go back and look the games. I never, you look at the overall trend, you say, okay, great. Now, what were the actual games? What actually happened? I went back and looked at every game that Patrick Mahomes has been a dog in. He was a dog week 17 of his rookie season. That was his only start of the year. They were playing backups, and they beat Denver by a field goal. They were a dog the first 2 weeks of the next year, 2018, when that was like Mahomes' coming out party. I remember I had KC in both of those games. I'm like, these lines are stupid. Mahomes is a stud. And he was. They were dogs 3 other times over the last 2 years. All of them high-profile matchups, one against New England, one against the Rams. I think it was 2 against New England. Yeah, 2 against New England and 1 against the Rams. Everyone remembers that 54-51 game against the Rams where the defense didn't get stops and they lost. But they covered. And they remember a couple games against New England, another shootout game in New England that they covered by a hook. And then last year, they beat the Patriots outright 23-16 in Foxborough. Those are all the games that Mahomes has been a dog in his career. 3 of them you write off. They were the first 3 games that he ever started. 3 of them on the road against these elite foes, and all of them were tight games. Now, we haven't seen this guy as a dog, or KC as a dog. Actually, they were when Mahomes was out last year, but we haven't seen Mahomes as a dog since the game against the Patriots last year. And he's not a dog by accident in this one. The markets aren't saying, oh, well, geez, that 2.5, no, 3, let's bet it up to 3.5. That's not an accident. That's the market saying Baltimore, it's a Baltimore spot, and Baltimore might well be the better of these 2 teams. I don't disagree with that, Marco. I really don't.
Teddy, throw one thing back at you. We're talking about
nitpick.
No, yeah, well, it was a perfect point on the Chargers and the coaching, and there's no question about it. There's bad coaches in the NFL. Andy Reid is not one of them, and Andy Reid, in his coaching career as an underdog, road underdog, 56-31. He has made his backers money as an underdog because he's not going to make those kind of mistakes that the other coaches do. There's elite coaches in the league. And of course, Harbaugh is, at the top of that list as well. I will throw one other thing to you. If you remember last year's game, Kansas City beat Baltimore. Now, the final score looks like it was a close game. Baltimore rallied for a couple late scores, and the last one coming very late at the end of the game to make it look close. But that game was in late September. Last year, Kansas City's defense, they had injuries at the beginning of the season. The second half of the season is when they played better. So they beat Baltimore last year when the defense wasn't good. They were better in the second, and they had total dominance. They were up, I believe, 23-6 in that game at halftime last year. I agree with you on everything you pointed out, but I just still think that this is a quality team that will be able to run the football and throw the football tonight. If Lamar Jackson, you talk about the running game, he's the best running back on the field, period. And he's the quarterback. I mean, we know that. And Lamar Jackson, even with the success that Baltimore's had, remember, Lamar Jackson is a home favorite since he's taken over the job, just 5-11 against the spread.
Guys, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to attack this game. Sidewise is really tough for me. I mean, I speak to Tony all the time about NFL. He went 4-1 yesterday, by the way, 68% to start the season. And he keeps reminding me, Prez, if it's a coin toss, just don't play it. And I think this is a coin toss sidewise. I don't see how to get, I could make an argument on Kansas City as you did. I could make an argument on Baltimore as Teddy did. So, to me, I think this game's going back and forth, whether it's field goals or touchdowns. Whoever gets the ball first, if they score on their opening drive, I'm betting the other side in game. Marco, that's how I'm attacking this one.
Well, it's not a bad way to, look at the game, get the adjusted line, because I really don't see one team blowing the other team out. And the best thing with live betting is if you have the scoring going back and forth in the game, you can set yourself up for some nice numbers in game by doing just that. And as far as the total goes, these numbers just keep getting higher and higher this year in the NFL because, let's face it, the books are getting pummeled. Everybody's betting the overs, and the overs keep getting there. Yesterday, the game started out slow. If you looked at the first quarter scores, the games, you're saying, finally, maybe the third week of the season, teams are going to finally start tackling, and we're going to get some normal scores. And then all hell breaks loose again. The scoring is insane. You get and if it's not scoring, it's questionable calls by referees. And I know, Teddy, I'm sure you'll talk about it later in the show, but we both were on a game yesterday, Buffalo, that should have never been anywhere near having to score in the final 20 seconds of the game like we did to win the game when they had total domination 28-3. But that whole game changed on one play. And it was a call on the field.
Yep.
And, I'm like, okay, no problem. When I saw it live, it's dual possession. First of all, the guy had possession when his butt hit the ground. And then they rolled over and it was dual possession.
Yeah.
Offense always gets the ball on a dual possession. But they called it an interception. And then they went to review and still upheld the call. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And there was a lot of, words that we can't say on this show being tossed around in my household yesterday watching that one. But it changes games. And it put the Rams in position. They went down and scored. And then a turnover by, Buffalo. Josh Allen showed a little bit of his immaturity. He kind of lost it and got a personal foul after a play on the next possession, and things could have unraveled. They did. We were losing in a game that we never should have lost. So I'm not betting a lot of unders these days. Let me just say that until the market changes itself and reverses. But there is going to be value. Count on that. There will be value betting unders at some point in the near future, because Vegas is going to keep moving these numbers and moving these numbers. Yeah. And remember, when you have totals and you're getting in the upper 50s, there's not a lot of margin for error. You get two teams take drives that settle for field goals and chew up 5 or 6 minutes. That's a lot of points you got to make up later on to get to that total.
Our regular Tuesday guest is Dave Sharpen from the William Hill Books. And he was tweeting this weekend, and the tweet was basically, friends don't let friends bet unders right now until the markets catch up. At some point, there may be value betting unders. There's no value betting unders now. If you're betting unders, you're getting slapped around because the markets haven't corrected to the over yet and to the high-scoring affairs yet. Not going to catch me with under money in my pocket. Not on this one. Not on anything without a damn good reason. Again, a week or two from now, maybe a different story. Right now, we've seen no indication, none, that the markets have actually caught up with how much scoring there is in the NFL this season. And until I see that week with 11 unders and 3 overs, I ain't betting unders.
And there's two
Teddy,
I'm excited.
Teddy, I'm excited to hear your so much stuff happened yesterday. Marco, thanks so much for joining us, brother. Have fun on Bet On It tonight. You, Gianni, and Kelly, Monday edition. And then, of course, Wednesday. You had about 50,000 views on that show this past week. So absolute heartfelt congratulations. Way to go, dude. We love having you. We'll see you next Monday. Anything you want to promote before you leave?
I do have a play up. It's $9 Monday at WagerTalk. We hit our 5% yesterday. I've got my NFL game of the week. It's a game for Sunday. Get down on it now. Get the best number, and you can pick it up for $9 after midnight. It's 25. You can wait till midnight if you'd like, but I would buy it for $9.
Get out of here, brother. Let's take a quick commercial break. We're right back with Teddy's 6 Bs and what we learned in the NFL Week 3.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today, your sports central for gamblers, taking you around the world of sports and sports betting for you on a Monday. And it's time to talk bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. We're going to focus on Sunday's NFL games, but I got to throw an honorable mention in on Saturday because I don't know what it was. It was certainly a bad beat for somebody. TCU from +2.5 to +4. They get a 31-yard touchdown heave on the final play to cut the lead to 3. And then head coach Gary Patterson said, no, we're not going to kick the extra point. 37-34 final lands right in the middle. It was a heave on the final play. Iowa State was supposed to be the right side. That's a bad beat. But then the guy doesn't kick the extra point. He's like, all right, we're done. That's a bad beat. Either way, a fascinating result and a very stressful one, regardless of which side you had in that ball game. We got to talk about Rams-Bills. We talked about that just a few moments ago with Marco. Something about that 28-3 score stands out. I seem to remember losing a bet with the 28-3 lead in some Super Bowl. Yeah, and it would have been a bad beat to blow a 20-3 lead. Marco talked about the interception that shouldn't have been an interception, and it shouldn't have been. That said, once the momentum shifted and once Josh Allen melted down and the Bills defense melted down, hey, the Rams are supposed to win that game. And to lose on a 4th down penalty like that, it sucked for someone, bottom line. Hard to say who it sucked for. Well, it sucked for Rams backers most at the end. Would have been a tough beat either way. Bad beats, this one we got to talk about. 7-0 0-1 to the under. And if you got the wrong number, if you got 46.5, it was 7-1 to the under. And what was the game that stayed under in those early NFL games yesterday? The only overtime game, the scoreless OT between Philly and Cincinnati. They didn't even need a field goal. A safety would have worked. An extra point would have worked to cash the over. Didn't happen for those bettors. How about this one for bad beats? All right. The Giants never reached the red zone. Of course, San Fran never punted. That game went over the total. And of course, we have the Falcons to close out the bad beats. Certainly -2.5, -3. They were another 99% win probability. And make no mistake about it. Those 99% win probabilities, that's BS. It's garbage. Their algorithm is wrong. And if those were betting numbers, they'd be getting crushed every week. Nonetheless, the win probability algorithm said 99%. And of course, Atlanta gave up 20 unanswered in the fourth to the Bears' backup quarterback. That a very tough beat if you had Atlanta. Didn't see anything bad beat-wise in MLB on the final day of the regular season. Worth noting, bad bets. I mean, there was a ton of Giants money yesterday. Everyone was betting the Giants. And the guy came in and bet like a $500,000 on Danny Dimes over his passing yards or whatever it was over in Jersey. Dime stays under. The Giants get crushed. And the books made out very well in that ball game. There was lots of wise guy Saints money versus Green Bay. That was wrong, obviously. Arizona, Detroit got bet up. That total, 53 up to 55.5, stayed under. There was Texans money that flowed all week against the Steelers. Steelers rallied to win that game and cover the number. So a good handful of bad bets. Bad for the books. I mean, talk about overs. We had an over in the NBA last night. The Heat Celtics over. That took a ton of money. Overs, 9-4-1 in the NFL games, including that 7-0-1 in the early games. Then you saw a bunch of public favorites cash yesterday. The Steelers, the Pats, the Seahawks stand out. Popular dogs cashed among the public. Certainly the Packers stand out in that regard. The wise guys won. The wise guys had Cincinnati. They had Indy. They had Carolina. They had Detroit. And, of course, nobody bet the Jets. Those are all bad results for the house. Back to you, Lawrence.
Wow. I want you to do that again. That was awesome stuff. That was awesome stuff, Teddy, man. My God. Yeah, I mean, listen, we got to make mention of some crazy upsets on Saturday. 27.5 point favorite loses outright. Texas Tech almost pulled out the winner. Then LSU lost as well. Just an insane weekend, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're going to see in college football, and again, it's not unusual early in the season to see the betting markets kind of be wrong about some teams. And I'm kicking myself for not having K-State. That said, K-State was down by 21 in that game, and Oklahoma could have run them out of the gym. And instead, the Sooners kind of fell asleep. You talk about Texas Tech. Texas Tech is up by 15 points with 3 minutes left against Texas. And couldn't hang on for that victory, although they got a wire-to-wire spread cover. What do you got there, Prez?
I got to tell you. So Andrew McGinnis put up on Twitter the baseball season. I think Vegas Dave, I know you don't love this guy, but he tweeted out on Friday that his baseball record for the season was 71-0. 71-0. So listeners, if you are looking for a baseball guy, Vegas Dave has not lost all year. But more importantly, about 3-4 minutes to go in the Texas game, Vegas Dave tweets out, I told everybody Tech would win. I bet it plus 500. I'm the greatest all time. And then he loses the bet. Anyway, I just found that to be really funny stuff. Guys, let's welcome everybody into the chat room. I know you don't like when I call it that, whatever, bugger you. Nate, see you, Terry, Frank, Bud, Vivian Presman, Elliot V, we love you, bro, Tom Hart. We have a Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is actually listening to the show. Leo, Mike Campbell, nice to see you guys. Frank Bud, again, you always get a double. Tom Hart, Philip, listen, tell your friends about this show. And the numbers are getting bigger. You saw the email Johnny sent out yesterday, Teddy. We're getting bigger and bigger by the day, but long way to go. Guys, let's get some more likes. There's 348 of you watching right now, including Birdie and Jared and Nasty. Make sure to head over and give us some likes. Teddy, let's get to what we learned this past week. And let's start. I mean, we're going to race through these teams. I'm going to throw them at you really quick. And I know it's a Monday night game, but let's start with Jacksonville. They're back to where we expected.
Yeah, I mean, injuries have been a problem for the Jaguars. And you take a team's leading receiver away, and all of a sudden the quarterback plays a bad game. I don't think the Jags are as bad as we thought they were coming into the season. I've still got them power rated ahead of where I did prior to week 1.
Right. Teddy, New England Patriots. I mean, look, they made a bad play call against Seattle, and they could have won that game and started this year 3-0. This team looks like they are for real. Unbelievable stuff. Is this a buy or a sell team right now?
So my thought on the Patriots, and it was absolutely confirmed yesterday. All right. When New England can run, they're going to win. When they can't run, they can't win. Cam Newton is not capable of carrying that offense right now without the benefit of a strong running game. But against a team like the Raiders, you can grind out clock on the ground. Against a defense like Seattle's, against a defense like Miami's, they saw week 1. I mean, New England hasn't seen anything resembling a good defense yet. Let's see what this offense, if this offense puts up these type of numbers once they step up in class a little bit on the defensive side of the football. That said, New England was power rated so low going into the season. I haven't seen the markets make it huge adjustments. You look at the number next week against Kansas City, they're a touchdown dog plus in that game. So it's not like the markets are in love with New England just yet.
Teddy, Tennessee, man, their defense is horrific right now, letting 500 yards, give or take, a game against wins. Is this team as good as their record at 3-0? I think this team is a sell team right now. With that said, I think Pittsburgh is too. They're playing against each other this week. So I'm going to hold off on selling on Tennessee, but I don't think they're as good as they are.
So the Titans are truly unique. And I was trying to remember, this is actually probably a good Ralph Michaels question. We'll see if I know it's late, so I don't know if you can get it before he comes on, but I'll ask him for tomorrow. I can't recall a team that went 3-0 straight up, 0-3 ATS to open the season. And it's not like they were laying huge prices in every game. So it's very rare for Tennessee, but it also means that the Titans have zero betting bandwagon right now. Now, we saw them. I mean, they got burned by Jefferson. Yes, Justin Jefferson was amazing in that game for Minnesota. Yep. And the Vikings played like their season was on the line. I give Tennessee a boatload of credit for finding a way to win that game on a day where they made a bunch of mistakes, where the red zone offense didn't work, where they had a pick six called back on a stupid penalty from Clowney. I'm not selling Tennessee. No, sir.
Teddy, what about Pittsburgh? Here's a team that was down all game, pulled it out right at the very end. Their running game looks good. Their defense looks good, but there's just something out of sync with this team right now. Are they buy or sell?
I got the Steelers power rated as a top 5 team. Okay, wow. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're seeing that I'm not seeing. I saw a Pittsburgh team that you talk about flats, but they came out flat. They weren't in sync early on. What happened? The second half of that game, it's not easy to shut down Houston. I mean, to actually shut that team down. They held Houston to 50 yards in the second half of that game. That was a dominant defensive performance. And offensively, look, Roethlisberger is old. Okay, he's old. He's not zipping throws. But what he is doing, he's throwing these touch passes and letting his receivers and his playmakers make plays. And they have plenty of playmakers. Claypool again with a big game yesterday, or a big catch yesterday that had an enormous impact on the point spread. And he's done that a couple of times already. So I like Pittsburgh. I think they're pretty good.
Teddy, I was on Atlanta. It was one of my losses this week. And I tweeted out afterwards saying, if Arthur Blank doesn't fire Dan Quinn and his coaching staff, then he's just a rich, successful moron. And then I gave it a lot of thought. And then I listened to a talking head on TSN, and that is, hey, look, Dan Quinn gets this team ready to play. Every game they come in, they go to Dallas, great game plan, up a ton, ready to put the game away. They play Chicago, great game plan, up a ton, ready to put the game away. Clearly, Dan Quinn can get this team ready. He just can't seem to keep them there. I don't know what to do, man. I just give up on them, but I think they're so good. I'm baffled with Atlanta.
Well, you're going to see a different point spread range for Atlanta now. I mean, you look at this week; they're plus 7.5 at Green Bay on Monday Night Football this week, and it's super easy for us to point fingers at coaches. That's what we do, and talking heads in particular. You make a living off it because you don't have to ever be right about anything. You can just criticize people. Oh, Bill O'Brien's an idiot. Oh, Adam Gase is an idiot. Oh, this coach is an idiot. Oh, that coach is an idiot. It's a bit rich, in my mind. It really it's all about the and. When you look at Atlanta's meltdowns, and look, they're historic meltdowns, back-to-back weeks. The coach is going to take the blame for that, and the coach deserves some blame for that. But what's the fingers aren't getting pointed properly at the offensive execution here. They went 3 and out on their last 3 drives yesterday. And when you're milking a lead at home, you just can't do that. And that's on the play callers and the quarterback more than any other guy. It's easy. Yeah, Dan Quinn, you're moron. Yeah. We're like, I saw tweets yesterday, well, falconing now becomes anytime you blow a big lead, and quitting. It's easy to point fingers. And as a handicapper, you have to be aware that there may be some bet on for Atlanta moving forward. I'm not convinced that team is dead. All that said, the post-game quotes of the Falcons were ugly.
Teddy, I think Dallas is a bye team right now. I know they lost to Seattle yesterday, but I think, look, their defense is definitely bad. But I think Dallas is a bye team moving forward.
There are no bye teams with bad defenses. You can have a bye team with an okay defense. You can have a bye team with a mediocre defense. You're not going to have a bye team with a bad defense. And as a division, the NFC East is so bad. Again, they've covered one game all year in a non-division matchup, and that came because Cairo Santos missed a field goal. That's how the Giants covered in Chicago. That's the only game the NFC East has covered against a non-division foe all year, thanks to a missed field goal. I'm not buying Dallas. You can buy Dallas. In fact, I'll take your action on any Dallas game you want. Let's go.
Well, okay, let me do a little research first, but I will take you up on that. What do we make of the Eagles, man? And why didn't he at least try kick the 64-yarder?
Because if he missed the 64-yarder, then since he would have had a play, and they were from 64 yards, and they would have had a chance to go. I mean, if you miss that field goal, you give yourself a chance to lose the game. I don't blame them for punting. That's the right move to make, even with a winless team. The Eagles' problems aren't fixable, though. They have their offense, right? And Wentz is, again, we like to blame people. Wentz is getting all the blame. It's Wentz stinks. Wentz did this. Wentz literally is running for his life on every play, and none of his receivers are anywhere near where they're supposed to be. And Wentz is getting the blame for trying to make plays. Philly's a train wreck. They're unbackable. This is what Philly is. They're equal to Cincinnati at home, and that's where they should be power rated.
Yeah, and Teddy, just on that Philadelphia discussion, you look at this team and you think, man, I mean, who the hell is Wentz surrounded with? Okay, they got 2 decent tight ends, but their wide receiving core is shit. Their running game is mediocre. They've got a good front 4, but their defense isn't great. Where did they spend all this money?
The Eagles have had incredible injury problems. And this is a year where when you have cluster injuries, their receiving core on paper coming into the season was solid. Their offensive line on paper, and we had good depth. So did their offensive line, and so did their defensive line. The defensive line still has some depth, not the receiving core, not the OL anymore. They've been cluster injuries will ruin any season, and that's already happened in Philadelphia.
Last 2 teams, we'll do them together. Detroit, I think they're a bye team. Great win. Arizona, I don't know what to make of them. This was their game to win in a very important division.
Well, it's a very competitive division, that NFC West, sure.
That's what I meant.
I don't disagree about the Lions. However, the Lions are still 1-11 straight up in their last 12 games, and the wise guys love them. So are you going to get great value with Detroit? I'm not sold on Detroit as to being any good. Kyler Murray had a rough game yesterday. He had a bad game. I mean, it really struggled against the Lions threw a zone against him, and he struggled. I don't anticipate that to be a long-term problem for Arizona. I'd be much more inclined to buy the Cardinals off the loss than it would be to buy the Lions off the win.
Teddy, let's take a quick break. Highlights from the weekend, a promo to give out, and of course, the great Ralph Michaels.
Football is here, and the Gold Sheet, the nation's oldest sports betting newsletter, is back for its 63rd year, bigger and better than ever. Gold Sheet has a new, improved web-based, mobile-friendly format that includes all of the winning information you rely on with the easiest access ever. While the format is new, all of the features you are accustomed to are still there. That's right, analysis on every pro and college game, key release selections, updated power ratings on every team, point spread logs for all NFL and college teams, and all college football games through May 2021 will be included. To celebrate joining the WagerTalk family, we are offering our subscribers our best deal ever. Sign up for a season of any Gold Sheet product and get $200 in wager bucks as a bonus. Wager bucks can be used to purchase handicapping information from any of our 40+ experts on WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. Head to goldsheet.com/WagerTalk for any subscription and bonus details.
Coming to me? Why are we coming to me? Let's go to Prez.
Are we live?
I think we are.
Oh, well, that's good. Hey, Teddy, you look good all by yourself.
Thank you so much. I didn't even know that we were back live. You want to talk about some of the streaks that are going right now?
Okay, so Teddy, here's how I want this to go. I'm going to give out the promos and the highlights. Oh, damn. I wanted you to move your mouth. I thought that would have been really neat. We would have been like the Bruce Lee movies. Anyway, guys, thank you all again for joining us. WagerTalk Today, 12 to 1 Eastern tomorrow. Dave Sharapan and Hakeem Profits. We're going to look at the NBA finals. Teddy, Dave Koken, I got to single him out. He had a 4-0 college football Saturday, so kudos to him. He has started the college football season 8-1. Bobby Liggs also had a great Saturday, 4-1. Rob Vino went 3-1 in the NFL yesterday, and he's absolutely on fire in NFL football. A 4-1 NFL Sunday. His only loss was on the LA Rams. And if you go back into the archives, Teddy, I got up and I told everybody, you buy Tony in NFL, you buy Dave Koken in college football. Dave is 8-1 in college football to start. Tony is 67% to start the season. Want to give out a quick promo, and then we're going to bring Ralph Michaels in. Baseball. We've got a promo for everybody. $100 off of the playoff package. Head over to WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com. Use the promo code MLB100. That's MLB100. It's $100 off of the baseball playoffs. And just a quick recap of our leaderboard in baseball. Andrew McGinnis this season is 61%, 42% return on profit. Tony Finn, 59% in the baseball season, a 31% return. And Steve Merrill, 60% as well, 30% return. So we'll go for Sports Memo and use the promo code MLB100. Ralph Michaels, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. I want to double your shout out, Prez, because Dave and I talk a lot during the week for the regular season. Anyone could go 8-1 in college football in a 2-week period. So, that's just 2 good weeks. Dave has been 60+% last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and a 3-year record of 60%. So to be 60% in all 3 seasons takes something special and makes that 8-1 or 9-1 record just seems so much more realistic. So 9-1s I don't buy anyone could do, but what Dave's done for 3 years has been incredible.
That is for sure. Ralph Michaels, what do you got for us today?
Teddy, you made me struggle a little bit today. I mean, that was more than a normal query. So the answer would be no, Teddy. Since 1989, only 15 times has a team even won 3 straight games and failed to cover all 3. The earliest in the season has happened was week 6. So the Baltimore Ravens in 2012 did it weeks 4, 5, and 6. No one's done it at the beginning of the season. So that's to answer your question, what the Tennessee Titans have done. They are now an asterisk in that. The angle of the day isn't really an angle, but people need to know how important a half point is. So everyone's going to watch tonight's game. Currently, the line is Kansas City plus 3.5. So I went back in the database, and since 1989, there have been 631 games with a line of plus 3.5. 67 or 10.6% of those have fallen on 3. So that's a big jump from 3 to 3.5. You're plus 10.6% of wins. Something to keep an eye on, and just how important shopping for that half point is.
Yeah, Ralph, let me jump in real quick, because right now there aren't a lot of 3s out there. There were 3s earlier this morning, if you like Baltimore. Those pretty much have been, a lot of them got bet up. But at this moment, you can still find -3 with juice for the Ravens and plus 3.5 at your standard -110 with the Chiefs. That's an advantage for the bettor, not for the books. So you can, if you like Kansas City, you have to find a 3.5. If you like Baltimore, you have to find a 3. And it's just that simple if you want to be a winning sports bettor.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to jump in and add to that, Ralph, because honestly, I think that's probably the best trend statistic you've. People need to actually write that down. They charge 20 cents to take from 3.5 to 3. You have given us factual evidence that it is only worth 10.6 cents. If you are taking Baltimore and you can't find a 3, you cannot buy down. Ralph Michaels literally just laid the math out to you. If you are paying under 10% to buy down, you buy down. If you're not, you cannot buy down. Do not pay 20 cents for a 10-cent line. Ralph, sorry to jump in, but that is just crucial.
Situational play of the day, guys. I went to the NHL playoffs, and again, I don't handicap NHL. I just looked for situations. So these 2 teams were off an overtime game. So when you were in the playoffs and you were off an overtime game, if I just look at every game in the last 7 years, playoff game off an overtime, you're 20 and 37, 20 overs, 37 unders, 65% to the under. Listen to this, though. With 1 day of rest, 14 overs, 31 unders, and 6 pushes, you're 69% to the under. And I'm not sure what's happened in the last 2 years, guys, but in the last 2 seasons, off an overtime game with 1 day rest in the playoffs, 3 overs, 16 unders, and 4 pushes, 84.2% to the under. So, again, the overtime tells you to play under. The 1 day rest leans under. And certainly what's happened the last few years, current form lends that way. And I want to finish this up, guys, with breaking down what's happened the first 4 weeks of the college football season compared to the previous first 4 weeks the last 4 years. Tomorrow, I'll break down all the NFL numbers. And it's two different handicaps. College football, we've seen the home teams not do as well as in the past, and more games go under. In the NFL, which we'll talk about tomorrow, we've seen the home teams do better and more teams go over. So the COVID handicapping when you're doing college football and NFL has not been the same. Here's the numbers this year. College football home teams straight up 48-33. That is only 59%. The previous 4 years, 558-233, 70.5%. Now, I will say the average line this year was minus 10.0. The average line the previous couple years, minus 12.1. We don't have a lot of those FBS, FCS games where you had those huge lines. But college football home teams this year, 43.2%. The previous 4 years, during the first 4 weeks, the same period of time, 50.7%. So we're down 7.5%. Over-unders, 48.1 compared to 50.5. We're down 2.4%. When I break down home favorites, ATS this year, college football home favorites, 41.1%. Previous 4 years, the first 4 weeks, 52.2%. So home teams this year, home favorites in college football this year, down 11.1% from the previous 4 years. And home favorites of 7 or more, 43.5% this year, 52.6% the previous years. We're down almost 9% again. So across the board, we've seen home teams, home favorites, and home favorites of 7 or more all be in the low 40s, when the previous 4 years, they've been in the 50s and plus. Yeah. And one more thing I want to remind our viewers for, we got right into conference football this year. Normally we play non-conference games, and the SEC plays non-conference games and then plays their conference schedule. So I think that's part of the reason the unders are happening as well. But there is a difference in the conferences. In the last 4 years, if you just bet every SEC conference game under the total, you've gone 40 overs and 68 unders, 63% to the under on SEC conference games. The Mountain West, 41 and 57, 58.2% to the under Mountain West games. Sun Belt games, 56% to the under. The only two conferences, when they start playing, that have had over 50% over-unders in conference games the last 4 years, the MAC at 53.1 and the Big Ten at 50.4%.
Ralph, awesome stuff like always. Guys, that's the show. Teddy, thanks for joining us. I think you're doing your opening line report in 5 minutes with Drew Martin. Ralph, presidential address on Wednesday. Can't wait. Everybody, tomorrow, Dave, Sherapan, and Ski Profits, make sure to join us. We love you all and enjoy the game tonight. Be well, everybody. Teddy, take us home.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on WagerTalk Today.
Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.